This lesson will be based on question tags and how to change sentences from statements to questions. But we'll start first with question tags. This guy. All right. It is important first to understand what you mean by a question tag and how to add a question tag in a sentence, and also most importantly, what is the difference between adding a question tag and changing the sentence from a statement to a question. Let us kickstart our lesson. Happy learning. Right. Okay. Right. In English, questions can be asked in various ways. For example, the normal route that we know is that of using the 5 W's and an H, which we have who, what, where. Another way of asking a question is by adding a question tag. Now, I'm going to take sentences and add question tag so that it can become easier for you. So a question tag, it is another method of asking a question or changing a statement from a statement into a question in English. Right? Right. There are rules on how to change a question or how to add a question tag. The first rule is that if the statement is in a negative form, the question tag must be in a positive form. And if the statement is in a positive form, the question tag must be in a negative form. Now, for you to understand it better, we need to do that practically. The first statement says, he didn't always feel this way. Now, if you check the first statement, it's in a negative form because the auxiliary verb here says didn't, which is a contraction for the word did not. All right. Now we say if the statement is in a negative form like this one, the question tag must be in a positive form. So the question tag for this statement, it will be did he, all right? And then question mark, then you say full stop. Now another statement, it says the blind immigrants were treated badly. Now, the blind immigrants were treated badly. There's nothing negative about the statement. Therefore, the statement is in a positive form. Now, for you to add a question tag, you are going to take the auxiliary verb to say, okay, where. Then you say, you change where into a negative by by contracting the word using an apostrophe mark. So the question tag for this statement will be went they, all right? Always when the question tag is in a negative form, you contract it, you formulate it into a contraction by adding an apostrophe mark. I'll further explain this in the slide. All right, good. Now, when the verb is okay, tag is in a negative, it is written as in a form of a contraction, like I've said. For those of you who do not know, a contraction is a shortened word with the use of an apostrophe mark. For an example, if I don't want to say do not, I say don't. If I don't want to say cannot, I say can't. All those words that are shortened with the use of an apostrophe mark, this is an apostrophe mark, we call them contractions. So we are going to use more of contractions in question tags, all right? And then for an example, we have contracted the word where will become went. We cannot say were not. It will be wrong for us to say were not. We use went in a contraction form. For an example, another example here to say, Lerato is a wonderful person. Another thing or another concept that one needs, if not another rule that we need to follow, is that the verb in the statement and the verb in the question tag must be on the same tense. Pardon me, this is a mistake, supposed to be be. Here we have the word is. We are going to use is. We don't change it to become was. So we say Lerato is a wonderful person. The statement is in a positive form. So the question tag must be in a negative form. We take the very same is to say isn't, and we contract it to say isn't she? Question mark. That's how we formulate it. All right. Let us move further along to the next slide and have more sentences. All right. We have the first sentence that a cyclist should ride in a single file on the road. We study the sentence. One, you determine whether the sentence is in a positive or a negative form. So when I look at the sentence is in a positive form. Where is your auxiliary verb? The auxiliary verb is the word should, right? Now you take the word should, you contract it to say shouldn't they. Now, another aspect is that the subject's name will always change or be replaced by a pronoun. Instead of saying cyclist, we are going to use the pronoun they. Remember, pronouns are all the names that are used in the place of a proper noun. If I don't want to say Tabo, I'll say he. If I don't want to say Lorado, I say she. All right. If I don't want to say the kids or the class, I say they. So the subject will always be replaced by a pronoun in a question tag. Let us move along. The second statement says the traffic police were busy today. Again, the statement is in a positive form. I'm going to use the auxiliary verb were, and I'm going to contract it by using an apostrophe mark to say went they. All right. Now the third sentence, the toll cycle has been run for 10 years. The word has, again, it forms the function of it is an auxiliary verb, which is a helping verb. We are going to use it to formulate our question tag. And when I look at it, it's in a positive form. So I expect my question tag to be in a negative form. So I will contract it again to say, hasn't it? Question mark. All right. Moving along, the fourth one, we say Tabo can't draw nicely like me. Now, in this one, the statement is in a negative form. So therefore, there's no need for you to contract the question tag because it's already contracted, which makes the statement to be negative. So therefore, you need to change it now to become positive. You just say, can he, question mark, and then you say full stop. Now, the last one, the grass in the house isn't always green. So again, this one, the statement is negative because the auxiliary verb is contracted. Now we need to add a question tag that is positive. So it's going to be, is it? Then a question mark. Let us move along. All right. Now, in our previous slides, it was easy for us to change the question text because we already had auxiliary verbs available for us to use and to use them by formulating question text out of them. If you say the kids are sick, we'll say aren't they? But what if you don't have any auxiliary verb? So sometimes a different verb must be used in the question tag, especially if the statement does not have a clear verb that can be used to formulate a question tag. For an example, let us study the statement. It says most people cross their arms when they are nervous. We don't have any auxiliary verb. So if you don't have an auxiliary verb, you study the tense. So we go to the verb, they say cross. So by virtue of using the word cross, it means that this statement is in a simple present tense. So whenever you have a simple present tense, you will use the word don't. So it will be don't they. Remember, pronoun. The pronoun will be used in a place of the people, will say don't they. So you only use the word don't they if you do not have any of the auxiliary verb to use, but the statement is in a present tense. All right. Now, if the statement is in a simple past tense like this one, Mary completed all her tasks yesterday. You cannot say don't. You will say didn't she? All right, because we do not have any of the auxiliary verb that we can use. We don't have the word is, we don't have the word are, we don't have the word has, okay? So what we can use now is didn't she, because the statement is in a simple past tense. So you use the word don't if it's in a present tense, use the word didn't if it's in a past tense, if the statement does not have any of the auxiliary verbs that you can use to formulate a question tag. I hope you understand. All right. Now we are done with question text for now. We are now going to change a statement from a statement to a question. The two are not the same. And most learners commit that mistake in question 5. I'm referring to grade 10s, 11s, and 12. You must be careful. There's a difference between adding a question tag and changing a statement from a statement into a question. In the previous slide, I've been showing you how to change, how to add question text. Now we are going to change statements into questions using the words does, do, or did. But let us start first by saying, if now you formulate a question, You are not adding a question tag here. You are formulating a question. You are going to start your sentence with all the auxiliary verbs. What is an auxiliary verb? An auxiliary verb is a verb that changes or helps another verb. Words such as is, was, were, can, should. I can cook. The question will be, can I cook? You start with the auxiliary verb to change a question from a statement to a question. Right? Let us look at this one. God is my protector. The question will be, is God my protector? That's the question. But the question tag will be, isn't he? All right. Now the question will be, is God my protector? The two are not the same. Let us go to number 2. The flowers are wilting. It will be, are the flowers wilting? But in a question tag, I will say, aren't they? Okay. Number 3, the audience was excited. If I were to change that into a question, I will start with the auxiliary verb to say, was the audience excited? Question mark. If I were to add a question tag, I will say, wasn't they? The last one, the rebels were killed in an encounter. Now the question will be, were the rebels killed in an encounter? You start with the what? With the auxiliary verb. But if I were to add a question tag, I will say, weren't they? You see the difference? A question tag, you add it at the end of the sentence. When you change a statement from a statement to a question, you take the auxiliary verb and then you start a question with it. That is the difference between the two aspects of changing questions in English. Right. Now, what about when you don't have any auxiliary verbs and you need to change a question? My cat plays with a toy. You are going to use the word does. When do you use the word does? You only use the word does, if the subject of your sentence is singular, and then it makes sure that the verb is in the present tense. Ne? Only when the verb is in the present tense, that's when you're going to change the question by starting with the word, by starting with the word does. Ne? Right. And then another form of changing the sentence into a question is by using the word did. When the statement is in the past tense, he saved the cat. Now you're going to start with what? With did. Did he save the cat? Question mark. And then another way of doing that is by using the word did. When only if the question is, the statement is in a simple past tense, right? So in essence, what I showed you today is that how to add a question tag if you have auxiliary verb and if you do not have auxiliary verbs. And again, how to change statement from statement into questions if you have auxiliary verb and if you do not have an auxiliary verb. Thank you so much. That will be the end of our lesson today. Look out for more next time.